Postgame live, Maddy Glab alongside Bills legend Steve Tasker. We are presented by Wesley, Clark, and Peshkin. Your divorce and estate planning attorneys, your family is our business. The Buffalo Bills fall to the Jets 20-17. They move on to 6-2 on the season. A really tough loss for the Buffalo Bills. Uncharacteristic, I might add. They were down some defensive players heading into this game in Matt Milano and Jordan Poyer, but it's not like the Buffalo Bills have been without big names before. They've been an inch injured team really to start the season, started to get a little bit healthier coming off of that bye week, and now are dealing with some more injuries again. And it just seemed like from the offense to the defense, neither side could really get into a true rhythm. You had a drive that would end in a touchdown for the Buffalo Bills, and you think, okay, maybe they can carry this momentum into the next possession. But it never seemed to really come together for either side of the ball. We knew the Jets had a really good defense, a top 10 defense. I was wondering how it would impact the Buffalo Bills today, and it really seemed like they got the best of the Buffalo Bills in the offense. Steve, what do you think coming out of a game like this, a loss that the Buffalo Bills should not have had by any means? This Jets team was struggling in a lot of ways. What do you make of this loss for the Bills here?
Well, they turned it over. Right from the opening drive, they turned it over. Josh threw a couple of bad interceptions. And when you do that, it gives the team, even in a team that's playing very well, that you should have beaten in a close game. You miss a field goal at the end of the half, a 55-yarder that would have given you the lead. That would have been a tied game at the end instead of the Bills being on the wrong end of it, turning the ball over in their end of the football field. Those two things are really what did it. Plus, the Bills' defense late in that game didn't have an answer for the Jets' running game. They couldn't get the Jets to throw the football, which is really what you need the Jets to do. Zach Wilson is not a guy that is ready at this point of his career. You would think he is not a guy who is ready to take over a game. He was 18 to 25 on the game, and that was enough for it. They threw it when they wanted to throw it, when they had to throw it, when the Bills weren't expecting them to throw it, and I think that was the key.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson connected quite a bit, and on the ground, the Jets had 174 rushing yards. This is now 2 games in a row where the Buffalo Bills rush defense that used to be #1 heading into that Packers game now doesn't look like the #1 run defense anymore. We're going to hear from a lot of our players tonight. Let's kick it off with Josh Allen, who's on the podium right now.
Josh, take us through just some of the frustrations today. It seemed like your offense after 14-3 had really pretty much nothing going.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to win in this league. When you're playing a good team and your quarterback plays like shit. Made some bad decisions tonight, really cost our team. A lot to learn from, a lot to grow from. But that's not the standard we hold ourselves to. That's not the ball that we play. So a lot to look at, a lot to learn from.
The interceptions, can you just explain, again, you were looking from up above. It just seemed almost inexplicable, the two, because they were right to their guy. What did you not see?
The first one, I just didn't see the guy. He was right behind the D end. Dawson was kind of latched onto the D end. I got my eyes back. I kind of looked, and the guy was right behind the defensive end. Didn't really see him there, and that's why I floated it. And the second one was just a brain fart. Yeah.
Is there any connection? I mean, it's kind of I don't know, 6 quarters is probably too little to call a trend, but you go back to the second half of the Green Bay game. Is there something now that maybe teams are doing or whatever, or something you're not seeing that you're struggling with?
No, just got to execute better. That's on me.
Josh, you were grabbing your elbow on that last drive after the strip sack. Did you hurt that on the strip sack, or?
There's some slight pain, but we'll get through it.
The second interception you referred to, sudden change with the Vaughn sack.
Yeah.
That kind of, is it even more frustrating when the defense does make a play like that?
100%. You know, our defense goes out there, they strain their tails off, get us a turnover in the red zone, and I give it right back. That's something, I can't do.
You found Zach Wilson on the end zone. I guess what kind of words did you guys exchange, and what were your thoughts on his play today and just his overall development?
Yeah, I just said, stay healthy. We'll see you guys again. Yeah, I mean, we played them twice in our division, obviously. Yeah, that's all I said.
You guys make a point about division games, 0-2 in the division now. How much does that obviously impact you now going forward, where these games almost count as 2?
Yeah, you want to win these. Obviously, these are the ones that can make or break you. Good thing is everything that we still want's in front of us, and we'll have to put our foot forward and put our head down and continue to work hard and have a good week of practice and get ready for the next one.
Josh, Diggs was on in the first half, but he never caught a pass. Not counting the one that didn't count, he didn't catch a pass after the middle of the second quarter. Were they doing something different with him, taking him away some way?
Not necessarily. Again, we got to get him the ball. I got to get him the ball. Whenever you got a guy like Stefon Diggs, you got to find him the ball. So, it's something we can learn from.
What did you see on the first interception there when you guys were in the red zone?
like I said, I came out as a little naked. The DN was latched on to Dawson. Didn't see the DB behind him. DB latched off, or the DN latched off, and I thought Dawson was out there by himself, and obviously he wasn't.
Did you guys ever feel like you were in that kind of a rhythm that you usually like? I mean, usually, even if there's a slow start, you guys can kick it in. And did you ever feel like you really had everything humming, or?
I mean, that second touchdown drive, I thought we were moving the ball and we were kind of going the no huddle stuff. Yeah, we gotta find ways to get back in rhythm.
Gabe Davis only 2 catches. What were they doing to take him away, or is it something you guys didn't do?
I would say we didn't do. Myself in front didn't do anything great today. Turn the ball over, it's going to do that to you. You only get so many drives in this league during each game. You got to make them count, and I didn't do that tonight.
Josh, does this qualify as a kind of a slap in the face? A little bit, sort of like Jacksonville last year with a slap in the face.
It's the NFL. These guys that we're playing are a good team too. They get paid just like us. So, away teams, facing a crowd, and we let them get into it. With the play that we had, we made some mistakes tonight. I made some mistakes tonight, and it can't happen.
What do you remember happening on the strip sack play? What could you, thinking back on, how did that unfold?
The last one you're saying?
Yeah.
Just dropping back, just trying to make a play, and obviously didn't see the guy. And again, credit to these guys. They came out, they played hard, they had a good game plan. It's a well-coached team, and they wanted it more than us tonight. I guess.
All right, that was Josh Allen, this week's game sponsors. On location, unparalleled access to exclusive Bills fan experiences. We're now going to move to our Microsoft Surface Player Spotlight. It's presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills, and it was tough for the Bills on offense today. Josh Allen was really, at times, the only player who could get the ball moving on the ground. So let's take a look at one of those rushing touchdowns, that 37-yard one that Josh Allen had for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this
Steve,
is
take us through this.
Player spotlight as Josh drops back, and this looked like it was going to be a pass. Josh turned the corner, and when he split it up between the defenders, he just outran everybody to the corner. Mitch Morse got in front of him. He ran right past Mitch Morse. Last guy for the Jets to have a chance, couldn't get there. Josh gave him a hesitation move, and it looked like the Bills were right on track then. And 7-3 at that point, and Josh, that turned it into a 14-3 game, and it looked like the Bills were going to be able to outdistance the Jets, but they just couldn't stay on the football field offensively, and the defense struggled to stop the run, give the ball back to the offense. When they did, unfortunately, the offense turned it over. That was a real issue in this game, but no question about it. Josh's 37-yard run was spectacular. It'll make the highlight reel of this season, no question about it. Really disappointing the Bills couldn't finish this one with that kind of lead against this Jet team.
Yeah, they had pops at times where Josh Allen was being Josh Allen, and that 37-yard rushing touchdown was the perfect example of something that could have ignited that team. But then the Jets, the next drive, go down and score a touchdown. The Bills miss a field goal, and now we're heading into the second half of the game. The Jets fumble, and it's an opportunity for the Buffalo Bills to take over and score, and the Buffalo Bills go ahead and throw an interception, one of those 2 Josh Allen interceptions. Josh Allen didn't have a passing touchdown today. If you look at his stat line, it's hard to remember a game where Josh Allen had a stat line like that. He completed just over 50% of his passes. His passer rating was very low, a 46 passer rating, which just shows how much this quarterback has grown since his first and second year. But we don't want to see Josh Allen having games like this when he's this far into his career. The Jets defense really got the best of the Bills offense, and we talked about the pass rush a little bit in the intro that the Jets defense does have. Quinnen Williams is having an amazing season for the Jets. The Jets lead the NFL with 61 quarterback hits, so we knew that Josh Allen would get some pressure. How much would it be? It was quite a bit for the Buffalo Bills, and let's hear about maybe that pressure that the Jets got on the Bills offensive line and Josh Allen as Dion Dawkins is now on the podium.
It's just football, man. You have your good days, you have your bad days, and sometimes you just don't turn as fluid as possible. As fluid as usual, but that's just ball. We're competing against the best people in the league every week, regardless of a record. NFL teams are great, you know, and hey, but the Jets just beat us.
Josh just said to the media over there, it's tough to win when your quarterback plays like crap. He didn't say crap. What do you think about him just, kind of saying that?
I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I love the kid. And one thing about Josh, right? Josh is always going to put it on himself when it's really not himself. So I'll ride for him to the end of this world. And, we love Josh. It's not about Josh. It's not about the center. It's not about the running back. It's not about Diggs. It's the whole unit. You know, we win, we lose as a group. It's the coaches. It's all of us. We win and we lose together, and it's all right. You know, we're not born to be perfect, and I for sure wasn't born to be perfect, and nobody in this locker room was. And losing hurts, no matter at any level, the highest, the lowest. Losing hurts, and it's just we took an L today. It's just what it is. You know, this is the NFL. This is one of the best games in the world, you know, and we're happy to compete against the best, and people are going to test us every week as we're going to test them.
How much of the pressure issues was their ability as a defensive line or things you guys were doing on your own?
Say it again.
How much was pressure on the quarterback? Was that about the Jets' defensive line and their ability, or things that you guys didn't do on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's anything and like that. You know, they have good players, and just like we do. Like those guys get paid to rush Josh, and we get paid to block. You know, like sometimes, you know, like guys are gonna and get an edge, and sometimes we're gonna stone them. You know, it's just game of inches, man. It really is a game of inches, and it is and what it is.
We know the level. We've seen the caliber that this offense can produce at. And it's not just this game. We saw kind of a little lull in the second half against Green Bay.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening right now to make it so you guys aren't executing and performing, producing like we've seen for much of this season?
You know, when things like this happen, you know, and it's just a loss. So when things like this happen, it puts us in better focus in a week. Not to say that when you're winning, you lose focus, but it just puts you in a greater focus to your details, like to the minute things that you might not be thinking about. You know, like whether it's just a hand a little bit higher, or your hands just inside a little bit tighter, or catching the ball, you're like, regardless, you know, things like this with motions and changes that happen in a game, and when you win and lose, it just puts you in point of your minute things to your personal gains. You know, and as a player, you know, it just puts us in our level. But like I just said, it is and what it is. You know, a win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Like the Jets are a great team. They're not the same team from the past, and we see that. And we're happy to be competing against teams like that in this league. You know, congrats to the Jets, but we have another game coming up. Tomorrow's Monday. You know, like all of us are still blessed to be alive, and hey, man, we get a chance to go back in and recraft it. You know.
Thanks, Dion.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Dion Dawkins is right. The Buffalo Bills do have another game coming up. They'll be at home this upcoming week against the Minnesota Vikings, and they have a week to figure out what was going on in that Jets game and get it corrected before they have a pretty good team coming into Highmark Stadium. And at times during the Packers game last week, the Bills didn't look like themselves either. So we've been dealing now with more than 4 quarters of the Buffalo Bills maybe struggling in a couple different ways where, hey, recognize what it is, fix it in practice, and let's move forward. We're at the halfway point of the season right now. This is the time where teams are starting to figure it out. If teams were struggling in the first half of the season, the Buffalo Bills were one of the teams that plowed through the first half of the season, 6-1 heading into this game. Now they are 6-2. You don't want to drop a game like this, especially when you're talking about teams in the AFC East and how that looks for playoff seeding and a division title here. So when you look at the offense, when you look at the ways that it didn't necessarily come together today, what was struggling there? Was it the Jets defense that was really doing a number on them, or was it some of the miscommunication that was possibly going on? It looked like they were off at times, and this offense usually doesn't look off because of the chemistry and the communication that this group usually has going on.
Yeah, usually, I think one of the things about this offense that makes it different, one is it's really centered around Josh. When Josh plays well, the offense looks great. Josh threw 2 second-half turnovers against the Packers, and now he's got through 2 interceptions against the Jets. When Josh isn't quite right, the entire team looks bad. And that's I think the story of this game. Josh didn't play his best game today, and you can tell by his remarks in postgame. So I think that's one of the things. When you've got a team that centers around that guy, and you've got that guy who's better than everybody, and you kind of depend on him, and he pulls you through. And even the good plays he had today were the ones that gave the Bills the lead. And when he plays well, everything goes great. When he doesn't play well, the team has a hard time covering for him, particularly when you don't have Matt Milano, we don't have Micah Hyde, we don't have Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. Dane Jackson was down for a minute. He had 2 rookie corners in a minute. Greg Rousseau had come out. So you're mixing and matching some defensive players, and Terrell Bernard got a lot of snaps today. So you're trying to overcome a lot there, and when your top guy is turning it over a little too much, particularly in the last half of the last game, and then that early turnover and the turnover he had later in this game, it shows up big and it magnifies itself because of the guy who did it.
And they tried to get Devin Singletary involved in things. He did have 8 carries for 24 rushing yards, but when he was getting the ball, he wasn't gaining the yards that the offense needed him to gain. He was averaging 3 yards a carry on the ground. He had 4 catches for 24 receiving yards. So when a guy like Josh Allen, your quarterback, isn't working, you try and go to the rushing offense and you try and see what will happen. And it just wasn't coming together for the Buffalo Bills. James Cook also got involved a little bit, 4 carries for 15 yards, but it wasn't enough to get the ball moving like the offense needed it to get moving. Let's hear from the defensive side of things. Daquan Jones right now is in the locker room answering some questions.
I mean, they're a good football team. We just got to do a better job on the side of the ball, be more gap sound, be more fundamental strong. So we just kind of get back to the drawing board and go back there, watch the film tomorrow, and see what we can fix.
Were they doing anything that you guys didn't see on film, anything you didn't expect?
No, we knew we were going to try to copy a lot what Green Bay did, and they came in and did that. And like I said, we have to go back on Monday and focus on us and see what we got to fix.
Did they copy? I mean, was it that film, that expectation where they did a lot of what Green Bay did last week?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there a concern then that that becomes the blueprint for how to run the ball in this team?
I wouldn't say all that. I think once we fix what we got to do, I think we'll be fine.
Was there anything different in the last drive? Most of those yards they got was that 90 whatever yards.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of missed tackles, and like I said, we just got to fix it.
Was that fatigue? Was it what would bring about missed tackles in the last drive?
All right, that was Daquan Jones talking a little bit about what was going on with the defense there and the similarities between that Packers game and the Jets game. We want to go quickly to Sean McDermott. He is now on the podium.
From some of the other positions and putting them in position.
Answering some questions. How much did the Buffalo Bills miss Matt Milano in this one? Because that was a question mark I think a lot of people had going into this game, as Matt Milano is such a big piece for this team on the defense. And we didn't have him. We've been without Matt Milano in games last season. But how much of an impact do you think it had on the Buffalo Bills?
I think it had to have some, no question about it. We'll see if it makes a difference. I think you'd have to ask the defenders, but they still only gave up 20 points in this game to the Jets team. I don't know that their defense played all that bad, except for the fact that the run game continues to be a problem, and the time of possession became a factor in this game, and the number of possessions became a factor in this game. So that may be one thing where Matt Milano might have helped in coverage and that kind of thing, but the Jets really didn't throw it too much, so I don't know that his coverage skills would have been used.
Yeah, the Jets held on the ball for 32 minutes compared to the Buffalo Bills, just had the ball for 27 minutes. The Jets did have the ball for most of the third quarter there, so the Bills not too many opportunities in the second half of the game. All right, Sean McDermott, he's on the podium right now. Let's hear from him.
Sean, how much concern do you have right now for the play of the offense? Really, going back to the second half last week, this hasn't been real sharp.
Yeah, I mean, just overall, I'll start with myself. I got to do a better job having these guys, putting them in position. Overall, we didn't play well enough to win today, and that starts with me. So we got to, look at that and get into a better rhythm, whether it's better rhythm offensively or winning first downs, and then the same thing on defense.
Are you getting enough at wide receiver behind Diggs on a consistent basis?
I mean, that's just something we got to continue to evaluate, Josh. And listen, it can't be a one-man show. I don't think it's a one-man show, but there definitely needs to be, more consistency from some of the other positions and putting them in position as well. And that starts with me again. So we got to put them in position to be successful. That's the name of the game as a coaching staff.
Sean, I know you're concerned about everything, but the run defense, looking at last week against Green Bay, and then with the game on the line today, the way they were able to run the ball right at you, what level of concern do you have?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we have to seriously look at. That's where the game starts, up front and then run defense. You can't allow a team to run the ball on you like that. So give credit to them.
Coach, it's 2 turnovers in 4 of your last 5. I know you're huge on ball security. That's not a trend you want to have.
Yeah, you can't win the game. It's hard to win the game when you turn the ball over. We're sloppy with the football. We had opportunities overall, and we shot ourselves in the foot. Give credit where credit's due. They made more plays than we did, and in some ways we beat ourselves. So we got to go back, reevaluate. Do we put them in position? Again, like I said, that starts with me.
You assessed the line of scrimmage battle on defense. What about on the offensive side of the ball? What was your view of that?
Well, I'll look at the tape, but I felt like we got a little bit too one-dimensional at times, and they've got a good defense and a good defensive front. So, listen, we play them again. I don't want to get too much into the strategy at this point, but obviously it wasn't good enough.
Having said that, what's your specific to Josh and some of the decisions he's making with the football? And this again goes back to the second half last week. What's your read on that?
Yeah, I mean, I trust Josh. I have ultimate trust in Josh. He's a heck of a football player. It's important to him. So he knows that those are non-negotiable. Those plays right there. It's going to happen from time to time, just by percentages and times you throw. So just overall, it's got to overall improve.
Josh said he had some pain in his elbow. It looked like he got bent back pretty far on that strip sack. How is he feeling, and what do you think if this will be something that he'll have to deal with moving forward?
Yeah, I know. I haven't talked to Nate yet. I'm aware of it, but I have not gotten with Nate yet. So as far as I know, he's still being evaluated. Good. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Sean McDermott, and he did say, we can't be as one-dimensional as we have been at times. He said Josh does have and conduct a lot of this offense, but we need to get some more out of our players. And before we went to Sean McDermott, we were talking about the rushing offense and how that really didn't get going for the Buffalo Bills. And there's going to be times where defenses are able to limit Josh Allen and his passing ability and put the pressure on him up front. I mean, the Jets have Sauce Gardner, who was able to get an interception. There's several defenses in the NFL, in today's NFL, who have really good secondaries and do have a cornerback or two or a safety who are really able to take a weapon or two away. And so that's when you do have to use another facet of that game. Why do you think the run game was not firing like it should have been today?
Well, I think you got to give credit to the Jets. We knew going in they had a really good front four, and they played them, and they rotate through just like the Buffalo Bills do, same kind of philosophy. So you knew they were going to be fresh at the end of the game. And the Bills really, this being a tight game like it was, the Jets were really never forced, to go nickel or dime coverage because the Bills couldn't get the ball out. Josh he was a little bit skittish in the pocket all day. They were getting pocket. You saw the guys knock 2 balls out of his hand before he could even cock it to throw it. So that, I think that says a lot. I think it was that front four for the Jets that was really the difference for the Bills' offense, and I think really for the entire game because they set the Jets' offense up for success.
Yeah, like I said, heading into this one, they led the NFL in QB hits. We knew that they were going to try to get after the Buffalo Bills' offensive line and Josh, and they did so a lot in this game. All right, one more for you before we close things out here tonight. Stefon Diggs right now answering some questions. Let's hear what he had to say about today's loss.
Stefon, you really had your way in the first half. You weren't able to find the same way in the second half. What changed? What did they do to maybe take you away in the second half?
Well, they in the first half they played a little bit more man, a lot more man, and in the second half they did a lot more too high. That's why we went to the run. We were productive in the run game. Personally, it's not about the person and shit. Like, I just do my job. So, first half, second half, it's always a different game. They're gonna make adjustments. They did a lot more too high. They had a long possession on offense, so we came out, we ran the ball efficiently. So we just had some miscues.
The second touchdown drive looked good. Was there any other time where you guys felt like you had it clicked into rhythm there and you were rolling? Like we usually see you rolling.
Yeah, we got a little bit in a rhythm. I mean, even the first drive, we got down there. I feel terrible because I came out, I was a little tired, but just as far as like finishing in the red zone, in the red area, and executing at a high level. We knew this game was going to come down to execution, and we didn't execute well.
I know, we're not pointing fingers here, but it's 4 of the last 5 games. You guys have at least 2 giveaways.
Yeah.
Like, I know Coach harps on it, and we all know the importance of turnovers. How do you kind of nip that in the bud as a team?
Yeah, it's like the turnover battle is so crucial because we try to win it. You know what I'm saying? Especially on defense, they try to create turnovers as well. So, it's just a team effort. Even special teams can come in there and make some plays in there. So it's not so much nipping in the bud, we just eliminate it. You know what I'm saying? Just eliminate it from happening. It happens. Like, even last week I had a fumble, stuff like that, just honing in on the details. Of course, this game isn't going to be perfect, but the less you shoot yourself in the foot, the more you have a chance to win. You can't win that.
We're so used to seeing Josh make plays. In the last 2 weeks, it's been uncharacteristic. He's even said it. Is it surprise you to see that, and how does that impact the whole team when he's making mistakes he doesn't normally make?
I mean, I feel like it's the flow, the ebbs and flow of the season. Good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen. We've seen Josh make a lot of plays. He made a lot of plays today. I'm saying it's nothing totally on him, especially offensively. We work as a unit. So as far as like getting back on the grind and getting back to being us, turnovers are going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Our quarterback is the best quarterback in the league. To me, he can't do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's going to be hard on himself. So from my lens, it's like we can do some things better. But farm your own land. It starts with you. We're 1-11. I got to do my job the best way I can, and I start there.
The team's going through struggles that typically looks to its quarterback to kind of settle things down, but in this case, the quarterback's struggling a little bit. So what can you guys do around him maybe to settle him back into his group that he was going at the beginning of the year?
I mean, I wouldn't say that he's out of it. Even today, he made a lot of plays. The quarterback position is always under a microscope, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? If you do good, you're the best thing ever. If you have some miscues, a couple, you might be the worst. But with that game right there, you saw him do a lot of great things from the quarterback position. A lot of great throws, a lot of good things, running the ball extremely well. It's just that's what comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be hard on himself. I know it. Rally around your quarterback, especially times like this. Cause you know the naysayers or how this go. This game come down to the last drive. We anticipate a lot of games coming like that. Just because when we play teams, they're going to give you your best shot. That's just how it is. But right now, we just get back to the drawing board, clean up some stuff, and keep moving forward.
What standard you guys hold yourself to offensively, for you in particular?
Extremely high. Like, just from the get-go, from play 1 to play 9, we expect to score points, a lot of points. You guys seen us put up a lot of points consistently. So as far as like staying us, get back to being us, we had a little ebbs and flows of this in this game. Some good, some bad. Usually we want to come out on top. If we came out on top, we wouldn't be talking too much about it, but we didn't. So, I entertained a lot of it.
0-2 in the division.
Yeah.
Has it made your life more difficult now?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, this is how it is. I feel like we have a real good football team. You know what I'm saying? Did we play our best football today? No. You know what I'm saying? We 0-2 in the division. We hate losing in the division. That's huge. But our division isn't the same division it used to be. You know what I'm saying? We got some good teams. So moving forward, we get to play those guys again. They won today. They made some good adjustments. They played well. They made some plays. We got to get back to being us.
We're giving you probably a bunch of Josh questions because he came in here 10 minutes ago and the first thing out of his mouth was it's hard to win in this league if you play like bleep. That's what he said. Yeah, he said if your quarterback plays like shit. Like he said himself, he played like shit. If you said it, I'll say it. That's fine. Does even an all-pro quarterback need to be picked up and say, dude, you didn't play that bad? I mean,
that's why I said the microscope. You know what I'm saying? At the receiver position, my job is to get open and catch the ball. At quarterback position is a hard position to play. You know what I'm saying? So one thing I know about Josh, and as you can see what kind of player he is, he leads us the best way he knows how. He makes a lot of plays out there. So rallying behind him at a time like this, I mean, turnovers are going to happen. You hate him, but shit does happen, you know what I'm saying, from all fronts. So just rallying behind him, you know what I'm saying, he didn't play like shit at all. He had a couple bad plays. What's a couple bad plays to, 30, 40 good ones. You know what I'm saying? He made some good throws. And we just got to continue to build off of it. I stay positive. I'm big on affirmations and positive energy. My quarterback is the best quarterback. He's going to come out on top. He'll shake back.
How about that first play of the game? You broke free, able to get a big gainer. What allowed you to break free? What you see on that play?
I got open. I caught the ball.
You mentioned the adjustments they made in the second half, but when they're able to slow you and also, minimize Gabe, Dawson, what are you guys talking about on the sideline of what you're all seeing out there just to adjust on your end?
Just communicate. They didn't play the same they played in the first half. So when you anticipate that coming out, you kind of got to learn it as you go. So as it happens, you just plan what you see, continue to roll with the punches, good and bad. And as we anticipate them doing something different, just adjust it. Everybody's going to play different. That ain't the first team to play cover 2. We used to see it a lot a year or so ago. We know how to adjust. We know how to make the throws. We know how to catch the ball. We just got to continue to be us. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is the ebbs and flows of the season, especially when you got a good team. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be under a microscope. So everybody going to give you your best shot. You got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Take your lumps. Take your lumps. You're good in the bag.
On top of them making those adjustments, you had seen on film going into this game, or was it just a big shift first to second half?
Nah, it was a little bit of a difference from what we've seen on film, especially. That's why I say I give credit where credit is due. They came out with a great game plan. You know what I'm saying? And then they adjusted accordingly when they saw some things they could have did better. So for us, we just got to do the same thing, especially at the receiver position. Finding ways to get open and make plays for drives so we can get in that rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So it's more so putting that mirror in front of you and saying like, what can I do better? And if everybody is doing that, I feel like we're gonna continue to reach our standard and play at our standard. You know what I'm saying? And if not, you know what I'm saying, when you shoot for the stars, if you get the moon, it's cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Stefon Diggs said he's big with positivity and affirmations. I think that's something that we should all practice this week as we are going to be bummed about this loss. I know you're looking at the schedule and going into this Jets game. Think the Bills are 6-1, could be 7-1 out of this game, and looking at the schedule thinking, is there going to be another loss for this team? And the Bills were just dealt with another loss this season. They're 6-2, and I think from hearing from these players, they know they're better than that. They know that this is just going to be how it goes sometimes because, like Stefon Diggs said, these teams are going to try and give you their best because you are one of the best teams in the NFL, and sometimes that other team wins. The good thing is it's not the playoffs yet, and they still have a lot of time to figure things out before we get into December and January, really.
Yeah, they just got to play their best. They have looked different than the team we saw in the first month and a half of this season. This Bills, the last couple of games, last half of the Green Bay game, and then this game as well. Turnovers have been a problem this year. When they get that cleaned up, they're still going to be a very good football team. Games like this won't get away from them. But it was that way at the beginning of the season, and it's continued to this point, and this time it got them.
Yeah, it definitely did get them, but it seems like they're not fazed by too much, and they know the type of team that they are. All right, I lied. We've got one more for you. Von Miller is answering some questions, and then we'll close things out when we get back.
I think immediately, I could really just see my game, without really looking at everything else that we did, and I didn't do enough. There's a couple of plays where I feel like in the run I could have been a little bit more effective, and that's just me. Like a brief recap. The game was just over. 45 minutes ago, and all I was thinking about is just the plays that I could have made. To help our team. It's tough. Losses like this are tough. I still feel like it's good medicine. Still believe in this team. We had chances to win it, tonight. It wasn't like we just, the whole game was just, trash. But, we did some good things, but we didn't do, enough good. And without me just looking at the rest of the team or, offense or defense or anything like that, all I can really see is me. As I debrief, all I know is me, and I felt like I could have made, a couple more plays to, help our team out to win this game tonight.
0-2 now in the division. You just put yourself a little bit behind the 8 ball, just considering their divisional losses, and those are always a little more important.
Yep. It's it's tough. Like you said, we got 2. We 0-2 in the division. The good thing is we got 6 more, divisional games. That was only our second divisional game, right? We haven't played. So both divisional games that we won, that we played, we lost. We lost a tough one in Miami. We lost a tough one tonight. And not to take anything away from the Jets. I know it's been, a long time since they had success like that, and hats off to those guys, man. And taking a step back and taking a step back from the player of the Buffalo Bills and on this defense, like the Jets did a great job today. Hats off to those guys. They built up a great team. Sauce Gardner, went crazy tonight. Quentin Williams, that defensive line as I'm watching, on the sideline, they did a great job, rushing the quarterback. When I'm sitting on there and I'm watching, all you can see is like the D-line. I'm always drawn to like the defensive ends and the inside tackles, and they brought the pressure tonight. They really did, from left end to right end, and of course Quentin Williams and the tackles. C.J. Mosley, he had some big time hits. And then again, Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner went crazy tonight. So, hats off to their defense. They made way more plays than we made. I think we only had, one sack. The interception with Tremaine, I wish we could have, came away with that one. That would have been a good one for us. But, yeah, we didn't do enough as a defense. And, as I take a step back from that, just me as a player, like, I didn't do enough, for this team. The good thing is, we got, a really good Vikings team coming up. And after every loss, I'm the type of guy that I just want to run it back. If we could go out here and rematch this game right now, I would. But, the reality is that it really doesn't happen like that. So we got to just live with this L, get back in the lab. We still got a great group of guys in there. We're going to get Tre'Davious White back. And I'm excited. I'm excited. It was good medicine, and just got to reload and get ready for a good Vikings team.
I know you got to look at the whole picture, but at the end of the game, they've got the ball deep in their own territory. It's on the defense. Do you guys feel it like that was your chance to win? Yeah.
And they ran the ball on us. They ran the ball on us, and they had success. I really don't know why. I really don't know why we couldn't bottle it up. We've been, but we've been playing the run really, really well up until, last week. And, of course, they were going to copy some of the plays that Green Bay ran, and they did. And we expected that. But we didn't expect the success that they would have, and they did, man. And, it's 2 games where we didn't play up the part in the run. And I just got to, take a step back and look at myself and see what am I doing to help my teammates out. How am I, playing this run? And, that's really all I know. I can control me, and I promise you, next week we'll be way more solid. I will be way more solid on the run, and I'll make plays for my team to put us in position to win.
Was there some level of frustration? For after 8 runs in a row? Was there some?
Yeah, it was crazy, right? 8 runs in a row. Jeez. Last week was getting on Aaron Rodgers and them for running the ball, and then they did it again tonight. So I mean, obviously, it's something there, but you just gotta take a step back and debrief. Still no panic, anything like that. There's one thing that we got to fix as a defense. I got to figure a way to get more tackles for loss. That one tackle for loss that I had at the end of the game on that, I think it was first down or whatever. I feel like I could have knocked the ball out. I feel like I could have came with a little bit more violence to knock the ball out, and hopefully we recover it, and that takes points off the board. That's just the way I look at it. That's just my perspective on it. And that last drive, we pinned them deep. I think it was on a 5-yard line, and they drove on us. I didn't expect that, but I got to figure a way to make plays and to get tackles for losses and really swing the momentum. So I can control me, and I promise I'll get it done.
When you mentioned some of those copycat plays, like how quickly did you feel that in the game of them trying to do?
Day one, yeah. I think it was the first. If it wasn't the first series, the second series, and. They ran a crack toss, and instead of blocking me with 1, they blocked me with 2. Last week, they only blocked me with 1. And they blocked me with 2, and he was able to get outside. Then he got to the sideline, and he kind of, tight-roped up the field. And I just felt like, if I could have that play back, I probably would have. Hopefully, I could be a little bit more stout and get up the field and, force it to bounce. So I saw it day one. I saw it right, at the beginning. They motioned the tight end out wide, and he was a little bit wide, and then I looked at the receiver, and he was looking dead at me, so I felt the crack toss coming, but, I just gotta do a better job, and, if I could do a better job and I can make, a couple more plays for my team, I feel like the outcome would be a little bit different, but still no panic. We got a great team. We see those guys again. We see the Dolphins again. We still got, 6 more divisional games. We just got to get back in the lab. I've been here before. I've been here before, and on multiple teams. So we just got to get back in the lab. Continue to stay positive. And we got a really good Vikings team coming up this week, man. And we just got to take it one play at a time, one practice at a time. Really debrief and take a look at ourselves. I got to really take a look at myself and how I'm playing the run and how and what plays that I can make for this team. And that's the easy way to do it because I know I can fix myself. So I'm feeling, pretty good and pretty confident going into this week. We get back in the lab, and like I said, it's good medicine. After a loss, it's like you rile up the hornet's nest, and everybody, just ready to play. And we got Bills Mafia again this week, and it's going to be packed versus the Vikings. So I'm excited, man, and I can't wait to get back in the lab tomorrow, debrief, and get back to work with these guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
We'll see what this good medicine can do for the Buffalo Bills this week as they prepare for the Minnesota Vikings coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. They had Aaron Jones with the Packers, had some success. Michael Carter had some success today against the Buffalo Bills on the ground. And guess who comes to Highmark Stadium on Sunday? Dalvin Cook, James Cook's brother. So the Buffalo Bills will have their hands full trying to stop the run again on Sunday. They'll have a week to figure it out, prepare, like Von Miller said, do some self-reflection, figure out what's going on, and we'll see if the Buffalo Bills are up to the test on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, they get a chance. You can see in all the remarks of the guys, they save Josh Allen. There was a lot of disappointment, but not discouragement. They really still feel real confident going forward that they can play better. Certainly they can. We've seen them do it this season, and Von's right. The players and the I've said it a lot, Maddy, that players and coaches get over these games a lot faster than fans and you and me, because they've got to think about the next one. They're going to start thinking about the Minnesota Vikings tomorrow morning. We're going to stew about this for a few days before we really get to turn the page.
We're sitting up here all salty.
Players and coaches don't have the luxury of doing that, and they're probably better for it. These guys are looking forward already. They're going to learn what they can learn from this game and spin it forward to get ready for the Vikings.
Yep, so when you're feeling a little bit down about the loss this week, just think to what the players are doing. They're over it. They're preparing for that next game. We know how good this team is. We know how talented they are, and that team is going to show up again soon. Hopefully it's Sunday afternoon against the Minnesota Vikings. The Bills aren't going to see an AFC East team until Week 13, so they've got the Vikings, the Browns, the Lions, then the Patriots for that Thursday night football game in New England. All right, that's going to do it for us here. If you guys want some more analysis, breakdown of what went wrong, what the Bills were up to against the Jets, you can head to MSG at 11:30, where Steve and I will have a longer version of this show. And don't forget One Bills Live tomorrow from 12 to 3. And we'll be right back here next week following the Minnesota Vikings game. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.